Hello, noble ones, and welcome to Metatron's Academy. So today we are checking out a very famous content creator. This is Joey, usually known as the Anime Man, although this is his second channel, Joey Bizinger. Or Bizinger, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, he says, I'm fluent in Japanese, you can be too. So, of course, I think we all know that he's basically bilingual. He speaks English with an Australian accent, and then he speaks Japanese natively the way I understand it, for what I remember. I used to watch him many years ago. It's been a while. But hey, he's talking about language learning. I'm interested. Let's see if his suggestions and advice, if it's all valid. Let's go.
Throughout my 13 years of being on the YouTube platform, I've been asked
That's a
all
lot.
sorts of questions, but I
Yeah.
would say the one question that continuously fills up my comment sections and my DMs on social media is the ones that go something along the lines of, hey Joey, I'm trying to learn Japanese. I want to be as good as Japanese as you. What's your secret? How do I
That's a very high standard.
become a fluent Nihongo speaker just like you, Joey? For those of you who don't know and are potentially tuning into me for the first time, I am fluent in Japanese. My mother is Japanese, which means I spent a vast majority of my childhood in a Japanese home speaking the language.
You know, that's interesting because usually when you're a native, like I wouldn't say I'm fluent in Italian, I would say I'm a native Italian speaker. So I've heard him speak, he sounds like a native. However, if he says he's fluent in Japanese, I wonder if then he learned it, like if he still feels like it's a second language to him, even though he's basically native adjacent, if you will. I wonder.
I did grow up in Australia for the first 20 years of my life, but because I was learning Japanese at the same time as I was learning English, you could almost say that Japanese is kind of like my second first language.
All right, so basically bilingual. That's what I'm hoping to achieve with my son, by the way. Of course, he's going to be raised here in the United States, but we planned with my wife to raise him bilingual, and basically I will speak to him almost entirely in Italian, and she will speak to him almost entirely in English, which possibly will result in something like this. Basically,
if that makes any sense. Basically, I'm just as comfortable at speaking Japanese as I am speaking English and vice versa. But when I respond in a video or in the comments section with the backstory that I just shared with you, I tend to get a lot of dejected reactions.
Well, qualified, dejected, we'll see. But I will say, I don't think, Joey, you should say you're fluent, because fluency could be something like along the lines of a B2 plus, if you consider the European frame of reference. You're clearly above that. You're clearly above that. If basically you're bilingual, you could just say you're bilingual. Maybe people get confused. Let's see.
Oh, well then I guess that's not fair because you grew up with a Japanese parent. You had the upper hand in life from a young age. So
yeah, life is not fair.
there you go. That's the secret then. If you want to be fluent in Japanese, just have a Japanese parent. You lost the spawn game, skill issue, the fall off needs to be studied, gang. Which, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not a valid point, and it certainly was an advantage for me, but it's also not the full picture. So today, I wanted to use this video to kind of clear up some misconceptions about fluency in Japanese, or fluency in any language really, and rather use this video as hopefully a piece of motivation for all of you who are through your Japanese learning journey, regardless of if you had a Japanese parent or not. But before all of that, we first need to ask ourselves a very important question.
What's the question?
What does it even mean to be fluent in a language?
Okay.
Well, I asked that question to the great overlords that is Google, and this is the answer that we got.
I don't know. I don't know if AI is going to give a proper answer, but let's see. I'm sorry I'm messing with my camera because I'm trying to figure out a way so that I guess I should look this way. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I did it. I think I did it. Hey, whatever. Being fluent. Well, he's going to read it. Let's see if we agree with our AI overlord. Skynet.
Fluent in a language means you can communicate smoothly and naturally without the need to constantly pause, translate in your head, or struggle to find the right words.
Upper B2.
It is the ability to express complex thoughts and understand native speakers easily, though it does not necessarily require perfection.
It's kind of stupid to put perfection right there, but that's the only thing I would disagree. Let's swap the end by saying it does not necessarily require higher level professional proficiency, because that's for the C levels. Because if you think about it, you could be a native speaker and not understand a word of a medical documentation, whatever manual about like genetics and that kind of stuff, or not understand language of business, for instance. That happens, but you're still a native. So that's why I think fluency If you're a native, you're above fluency. But if you're fluent, you're a advanced speaker. But people with C-level proficiency are higher than they are more than fluent.
I think that last part there is the most important in this whole definition. It does not necessarily require perfection.
Yeah, that's actually, I think that the last part, whatever, we can agree to disagree.
And that's the first tip that I want to share with you guys when it comes to learning a language.
Okay.
Don't try to be perfect.
Well, then good. Okay, we agree. Fantastic.
I've seen way too many people in the early stages of learning Japanese stumble and fall on a word or two, or a particular prefix or suffix, or any kind of interconnectedness to the different word structures, and think to themselves, oh, well, if I'm already struggling this early on in the game, then what's even the point of trying? There's no way I can strive for fluency. I can't even get the basics correct. But you have to understand that there is a massive difference between fluency and proficiency.
Good. Okay. You see, it's kind of what I said. So let's see how he's going to flesh it out. I appreciate the GTA looking font, by the way. Love it. A little pixelated, just like I just perfect for me. Let's see how he's going to flesh it out. We'll see if we agree. But generally speaking, yeah, that's true.
Because you can be fluent in a language while also making lots of mistakes. Because
yes, but let's redefine. Let's be careful with this, okay? I'm going to be a little pedantic, but hey, that's me. Metatron pedantic. It's like my surname, and you subscribe to me. So what do you want? Sit down. But listen. Making lots of mistakes, then you're not fluent. You can make occasional mistakes, or you can still sound foreign a bit, not too much. If you make loads of mistakes, you're not fluent. That's how it is.
Because again, all fluency is just how well you can express your thoughts and how well you can flow through a sentence.
Okay, no. Well, how well? It's not just like if I butcher the grammar completely, but hey, I didn't stop and stumble, right? But it's a mess. Like you effed up everything. The simple you said goad instead of went. You're not fluent. It's not fluent. I know that fluency in our mind is this idea of, well, you can speak without pauses and unnecessary stumbling. Right, but think about it. Natives do say, natives do that. It is a general high level of competence in the language, but that requires all aspects. So in fact, when we imagine someone being fluent, they don't have to sound native, but they do have to sound like someone who did put some time into learning pronunciation. They need to sound like someone who has an overall understanding of the grammar with the occasional mistake. Maybe they're trying to build up this weird hypothetical period sentence and they F up, that's fine. Or the occasional word, they say it wrong, it's fine. But the level needs to be high on all aspects of the skills that have to do with language learning to be considered fluent. Because otherwise, if you can just speak fast, but what you say, it's a complete total mess, it's going to impede communication up to a certain extent, and so I don't think that then at that point you should be considered fluent. Anyways, I know where he's going with this. Guys, don't worry. If you want to be fluent, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You make the occasional mistake. It's fine. The message is fine. It's correct, but let's not redefine the meaning of fluency. The meaning of fluency, in its very bare bones, is you need to have a high level of competency in the language. You need to be competent.
And conversely, you can be proficient in a language, use all sorts of complex syntax and words that you'll only ever find in novels or newspapers, but also struggle to formulate a sentence or get your point across effectively. If you're trying to strive for the highest level of any language, including Japanese, then understanding the difference and trying to improve on both of those things is incredibly important. And this is something that I myself, to this day, continuously strive to get better at, even if it is my native tongue, so to speak. Because the idea of fluency that a lot of people don't seem to understand is that it is quite subjective. One Japanese person can listen to another Japanese learner and go, wow, Nihongo jozu desu ne, even if the sentence is very simple, while maybe somebody who has a higher standard for fluency, aka other foreigners trying to learn Japanese and are at a higher proficiency or fluency level, will look at someone speaking and go, oh man, they've got still such a long way to go. They're not fluent whatsoever.
Right, but the first one will be wrong and the second one will be right. Let's just be honest. First and foremost, Nihongo jozu desu ne is a meme. It's a meme. We know it. It's become a thing. They will tell you, Ah, sugoi ne. They will say that if you say konnichiwa, and just saying konnichiwa is not fluency, regardless of how Japanese people overreact due to their politeness, right? So, yeah, the first example is not if the Japanese of the person is very low, even without a professional assessment, doesn't matter if a Japanese person is surprised genuinely, or if a Japanese, because maybe it's an elderly person, they've never met a foreigner who can speak the language, or if they are just being polite. That doesn't make you fluent because, oh, that's their definition of fluency. No, because then it would make it would make the usage of this goal completely, it's useless at that point. It's useless. That's not fluency. So in this scenario, the second version, so the people who say, for instance, they have an understanding of what it means to be fluent, and then they see someone who can't even do good morning, how are you, right? Yeah, of course. They when they say, well, yeah, this person is not fluent. When someone else asks, right? Not don't tell them directly, but if someone else asks, it's like, how's their Japanese? Are they fluent? No, not really. No, not even close. It's fine. They are right, and the first example is wrong. They're not both equal. They're not both valid. That's not fluency if you don't have a high level. Now, what that high level is, if for you is a low B2, for me is a upper B2, that's debatable. That's fine. How much importance we want to put to correct pronunciation, that's another thing that is debatable. But someone who just says, konnichiwa, arigato, and then the Japanese say, oh, jouzu desu ne, that's not fluent.
But what's important in learning the language is not so much how fluent you currently are, but rather what is even the level of fluency that you are even trying to strive for. All it takes is one quick Google search to know that there are all sorts of different ways that people strive for different levels of fluency in Japanese, whether it be textbooks, the traditional way, workshops at universities, or say, for example, language learning apps like today's sponsor, Migaku. If you hate learning from textbook...
Wow, we got Migaku, guys. Very cool. Get the
Migaku.
Link in the description. Does he have like an anime man discount code? I don't see it. So anyways.
For sponsoring today's video. If you've been following me on my Instagram, which you definitely should be because it's the only social media platform I'm basically active on.
What? Instagram? Okay, well, good, fine.
Then you'll know that at the beginning of this year, I decided to start cataloging all of the books that I'm going to read throughout the year. A lot of those books, I'd say about half so far, have been Japanese novels. There's a lot of reasons why I do this. Most importantly, for one, I enjoy reading. I've always enjoyed reading, and especially a lot of Japanese novels I've enjoyed reading, and there are so many Japanese books I am still yet to read that I want to share with some people who are interested in it. But more importantly, for the sake of today's video, I read Japanese books because I use them personally as a form of Japanese study. I'm self-aware enough to know that I don't know all of the kanji or expressions or phrases that exist in Japanese, and I want to continuously strive to improve that side because it's inevitably a part of my culture. And that's my second tip for learning Japanese. Never stop learning.
That's very good. Excellent advice. How much would I personally, as a teacher, suggest you to use novels and read books? I mean, do it, but don't obsess over it, because if you only read, your vocabulary will improve, okay? It's a very valid form of practice, but I would use it as auxiliary. I would use it as secondary, if not tertiary, because production is necessary. So first and foremost, don't read in your mind, read out loud always, if it's a language practice, because you have to be honest with yourself. What are you doing? Are you having a good time with a novel? Read it however you like. Or are you actually trying to improve your language skills? Then you have to read out loud. You have to read out loud. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, don't expect just from reading to become fluent in speaking or listening. Those are separate skills. Will you acquire some grammar patterns? Yes. Will you improve your vocabulary? Absolutely. Will you learn some expressions that maybe going to stick in your head because you liked that character or that setting? Totally. So some of these will translate into your ability to speak because you remember it, because you read it on the book, you had a good time, you say it on a conversation, and so you actually used it. That's great. But you have to do that conversation. You have to still give time to production. And the reason why I'm stressing this one a little bit is not to disagree with him. I'm not necessarily disagreeing. I enjoy the book, particularly at his level. But it's because I've seen prominent YouTubers saying, oh, read 15 books and learn the language. No. No, you have to speak to learn to speak.
One book that really tested my Japanese fluency or proficiency was the book Snow Country by Kawabata Yasunari, which is considered today to be categorized in the classic Japanese literature genre. And as someone who has read a lot of Japanese books and as fluent and as proficient as I think I am, this book was pretty damn hard to read even for me.
See.
Not because it wasn't good or anything. In fact, it is an incredibly picturesque and melancholy filled piece of almost poetry posed as a novel. And
yeah, I imagine I'd struggle with it. If he struggles with it, I'd struggle with it.
It's definitely a book that I recommend to Japanese or just English speakers alike. But because there were just so many words and phrases and expressions that before this novel, I had never really heard of. And
which means this is only for those who are extremely high level. Because if someone who is basically bilingual is struggling so much, it means, or it's telling us a lot of these words, never heard them before, but he lived in Japan for so many years, it means that these words don't happen almost never. Like you could live your entire life in Japan without knowing the word for, I mean, at this point, I don't know what example to give you, but let's imagine atonement. I mean, I went religious, but I'm saying, which is aganai, by the way, I do know that one. But I'm saying like a word like this, you could totally live in Japan for 50 years and never use it. Because not only it's Christian related, but also because, I mean, when are you going to hear it? I heard it because I went to church in Japan, Christian church, so I heard it and read the scriptures in Japanese, but that was my own personal lifestyle that kind of created that sort of dependency. But in general, simple terms, only for very high level students. Don't start reading something like that when you're lower intermediate or a beginner. It's a waste of time.
As difficult as it was to read while trying to comprehend everything, I also found it to be a great challenge. I found it to be really fun every time I came across a word or a phrase or a kanji that I didn't know to open up my phone, go to a dictionary, and learn a new word, learn a new phrase.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. I do it with video games.
And I guess in the terms of book analysis and trying to understand a book, why particular words and phrases work in those particular sentences and scenarios. I use that book and many others alike as a fun piece of study material while also being able to fulfill a hobby of mine. I think it's an easy to say, yet hard to consistently follow school of philosophy that I've been trying to follow to the best of my abilities for the past 31 years of my life. And it's this philosophy that there's never not a good time to learn and study. And
I agree with that 100%. And the problem often is that people associate, and that's a failure in our education system, but the people often associate studying with boring. Doesn't have to be. Associate studying with fun, connected to things you like. Like he likes reading books, just read books. If you like playing video games, like me, play video games. If you're into the movies, watch the movies in different languages. Like do something that you love and connect it to language learning. And then studying is going to be, oh, I can't wait to study, rather than, oh my gosh, I'm going to study for 3 hours. If that's then there is a problem that needs to be, and unfortunately at school, teachers have often connected that. If you're having fun, you're not doing it right. No, you're not teaching right. Change job. Go become a nuclear scientist or something easier than teaching.
Improve. Not just with learning Japanese, but with anything in life. Because I truly do believe that complacency is the enemy of progress. As Socrates once famously said, I know that I know nothing. The idea that true wisdom begins with understanding the limits of your own understanding. And I think that especially pertains to learning a language like Japanese. Because every time I pick up a new Japanese book and I come across a word or a phrase or an expression that I had never heard of and that I have to look it up, it's not demotivating. If anything, it's exciting.
That's the right mindset. Excellent. Anyways, I didn't want to react to the whole thing. I went past a little bit half. So if you enjoyed this video, I mean, I did. It was kind of fun. If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep watching, please click the link in the description on the pinned comment so that we can give him the interaction and the like and the comment, if you will, and view. And apart from that, thank you very much for joining Metatron's Academy. Have fun.